Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher, and I'm back in the house, back at the PC, putting in some good work. We're doing some good stuff. It's all going well. 6.1 jukeboxes and selfie cameras flying all over the place. But of course, that's not the bulk of the reasons people contacted me while I was on my little trip/vacation. They contacted me because the World First Race. Let's have a little chitty chat about it. World First Races. If you're not interested in them, well, that's your prerogative. But for us Raiders, we're interested to see who's the best of the best. We want to see a clean victory. We want to see the win. We want to see it go over well. We want to see how they did it as well. Because most of us will approach these raids with our balanced comps, our standard raiders who aren't going out of their way to do crazy things. All that kind of stuff when we get there, we're more than happy with it. But not this time. During the vacation days that I did have while I was away, I stayed away from the internet as an active thing. It's kind of one of those refreshments. Stay away from the internet for a bit. It can be a dreary place sometimes. It can be a dreary place. Hopefully we can put some smiles in there sometimes. But yeah, it can be dreary. So we took a break. And when I came back, the World First Race was over. It was done. Not only that, it'd been done for a couple of days, surprisingly. And then I saw the fallout. Good God. Good God. And then I returned home, checked my email inbox to find many an email. And a lot of them concerning the World First Race, my opinion on it. So, not to shy away from these things. People do get pissed when I make these videos because they disagree with me. That's fine. If I was scared of people disagreeing with me on the internet, that would be a dangerous place indeed. So, the race. What happened? What happened if you didn't follow it at all? Is Method won. Blackhand fell to him. Blackhand fell. And then the controversy came out because, account sharing. Account sharing occurred. Yes, it did occur. Somebody moved one of their characters off their account onto a new account and let somebody else play it. That's what happened. That is how it went down. They needed another Moonkin. Moonkin's very powerful and strong inside the Blackrock. And then, of course, it became apparent that they needed a very geared Moonkin. And there wasn't enough access to gear left in order to get it. So they moved a very geared Moonkin off, put it on a different account, and then gave that to a different player to use. And then the outroar! The rage came in droves as the uneducated, I would say, and anybody looking to pick a fight had a reason to pick a fight, and that's what they wanted, especially those who have a sort of vested interest in which guild will win. I never quite understand that, even with my former affiliations. I couldn't give a shit who wins. I'm just curious, more than anything, as to see who wins and how they did it. Whether or not Team A wins or Team B, I couldn't care less. But this was actually an important race. I think we should take that into account here. It was an important race for those people who have an interest. And we all have an interest in some respect. It was an interesting race because former Glory Paragon dominated. They did. They dominated when they were in power, when they were on the same level. But then they took a step back and Method took that mantle. Didn't they? They moved forward. They took the stride thing and they took first place consistently after that. But this was the time when both of them were once again on the same playing field. And not only that, but Paragon returning from its former rest period, we could say, although they did do very, very well. There's no doubt about that in their own little league. They came back and won in the Highmall. They won. So was it a case that Method was only number one because Paragon weren't racing against them? Is that why it was? So we had an extra bit of interest in this race. This would be the final tier of this part of the tier, as it was split up into two, and we were about to see them go head to head and see who would come out victorious in this official end of the tier. And it was Method, and you know, there's fanboys. There is fanboys. There's people who like die-hard Paragon fans and die-hard Method fans, and as I say, I'm not quite sure why, but people do have that kind of thing. I don't understand why people follow, like, football teams so intently, even though they might live halfway across the world. Why is it when I travel, like I just did, and I say, I'm for England, they go, oh, Manchester United, and I'm like, oh, dude, really? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm a huge Manchester United fan. Like, why? Why are you a Manchester United fan? I don't get it, but there you go. There you go. So, yeah, the controversy came out. It's like, oh my god, Method won, but look at this, guys. Account sharing occurred. Let's blast one thing out the past. Blizzard does not give a shit about account sharing. They don't give a fuck. Why do you think the system exists to move a character to another account that you have? Because Blizzard isn't fucking stupid. They know people account share. They absolutely know it. Most companies are aware of it, right? They're not crazy. And they have an ace in the hole. Why do you think when you go to Netflix or something like that, ask you, who's watching? Because we're not fucking stupid enough to think that everybody in your house has their own Netflix account. No, we're not that stupid. We know you have a Netflix account. who's watching. We'll tailor stuff to you because we're not crazy. Blizzard knows that if you have multiple people in your house, or friends who live around the corner, or have an appropriate age to play WoW, which is like 11 or 12, that you probably don't have multiple accounts yet. There's a high chance that you account share, and they don't care because they have an enormous ace in the hole, which most companies in the modern era are starting to realize. You can't play at the same time, and that will bug you. And you will eventually sort it out. Yeah? Blizzard doesn't care if you account share because mostly 99 point God knows what % of account sharing is completely innocent. And I find the actual outrage about account sharing so hypocritical because nearly everybody in WoW, in my estimation, I have no hard facts. I don't. Other than every drama story ever sent to me. My own personal experience with my friends and people I've spoken to online at some point have let somebody else log their account for one reason or another. And guess what? They had no fear that they were going to be banned for doing it. Because Blizzard's not crazy. The world isn't that hardcore. It's against the terms of service. Of course it is. Because you're giving out secure information. You're putting your account at risk. The only time, and I will admit this, in the Burning Crusade, that my account was hacked legitimately and not by somebody who was maliciously coming after me, was when somebody else had access to my account and their PC wasn't safe. As simple as that. They hadn't secured their PC and I logged in one day, like 4 days after I gave my account information to someone for a legitimately innocent reason that they needed to do some fucking trade skill or some god knows whatever. And guess what? All my gear was missing. Oh, GG. Blizzard still kindly restored it because they're not stupid and they don't give a shit. Oh, you lost your items? Fine, have them back. You made a goof up. Don't do it again, please. They don't care, but of course it's against the terms of service. It's not against the EULA. That's the big one. That's where you'll get fucked. Breaking the game. Doing something to the files that you shouldn't be doing. Hacking. Doing something along those lines, yeah? Terms of service is like, don't do that. We'd like it if you didn't account share, but we understand it happens because we're in the real world. It's as simple as that. And no, they don't care. That's why the system exists. They give you the tools to do it. It's not as if to account share, which I'm going to slightly ignore that Paragon did the same thing, as has been recently revealed. We're going to ignore that for the moment. And let's assume in our fantasy situation here that Method did it and Paragon didn't. Right? That's what most people were basing their rage on, is that one guild did it. Surely the other guild, my favourite guild, wouldn't do that. Oh, look. So, yeah. In this situation, Blizzard gives you the tools. You go to Battle.net, it's like, do you want to move a character? Because we're not crazy. And you probably do, you've probably account shared, or maybe at some point with your brothers or sisters or whatever, you had to share an account, blah, 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 blah. No problem. Yeah, your brother deleted all your gear, as we've seen in many a drama time. Yeah, it happens. So Blizzard puts in tools to allow you to fix this. Method didn't have to do anything crazy to create a separate account that somebody else could play. They didn't have to do anything crazy. I have done this! I have done this exact thing. In the Burning Crusade, I had a friend who was Canadian and played on the US realms, but wanted to play with us. I gave him my priest. I did. He bought the accounts. I moved my priest to a different account so he could play it. Did anybody give a shit? No. Nobody. Why? Because it's totally innocent. It's fine. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit about these things. And then, of course, we've had multiple instances during Mists of Pandaria where I used community accounts. People were like, yeah, sure, use my account to do the guides so we could rush them out. It was a mistake because the classes changed dramatically very quickly. But still, it happened. Did anybody give a shit in this community? No. No one gave a fuck. No one cares. Why? Because it's innocent. The tools are there to allow you to do this. Blizzard provides you. They just charge you for it. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Do it. Account share. It's fine. No problem. Oh dear. So that's my feelings on that. It's like account sharing, it's a thing that happens all the time, constantly. And most people who are raging about it have probably account shared multiple times. There are surely some people who have never, ever let anybody touch their precious WoW account. Most of the rest of the world probably has at some point. Even if it's someone in the room. Has Andy logged my account? Yes. Have I logged his? Yes. Right? It's totally fine. No big deal. It's a game that allows for that situation to occur. And Blizzard doesn't care because ultimately you'll probably want your own account. It's fine. No big deal. You can't play together if you account share. That's the bummerino. Unless you're going to pay them for another account. What are you buying there? A leveled character with gear. What was the crime, though? And there was a crime here. I'm not all in defense of this thing. I'm not all in defense. And it's more from the spectator's point of view. And I think this is the important thing. From the spectator's point of view, people were pissed. They were pissed. And yes, they grasped onto the account sharing and all that kind of stuff, but they were pissed. Why? Because it wasn't a clean race as far as the onlooker, the viewer, the spectator, the people who wanted to be interested in a race. It didn't come across clean. Like so many professional wrestling finishes where you want to see who's the best at the moment, who's the big guy. Oh, somebody interfered, and it's like, we just want to see the clean. That's what we want to see. We want to see the clean victory. And when there's something to grasp onto, when there is this tangible piece of the stuff that people can go, yeah, but. And none of us wants that. I don't want that. I couldn't give a shit about account sharing. I couldn't give a shit who won. It still bugs me that it happened. It does. Because part of me just wanted to see who would win clean. No counters, no ifs, ands, or buts. You won. The last time we saw these kind of things, and people will forget about it, was things like the Lich King 25 Heroic. That was such a clean moment, and why it stood out in history as one of the great moments in raiding. Because this boss was hard. Tough as fucking boots. Can't be done. That was the feeling that went around the raiding community. I was a part of it. I was up there. It can't be done. Paragon did it. And not only that, they did it clean. There was nothing the spectators, the fanboys, anybody could cling on to say, but they did that. That's not fair. That's not allowed. Even if it doesn't fucking matter in the grand scheme of things. Even if it doesn't matter to Blizzard, they had nothing to grasp onto. And that's why it was so great. It was like, they are the best. Because they did that. And they didn't have any of these crutches. They didn't have to do any shenanigans. None of this stuff had to occur. It was just clean. And that's great. That's fantastic. That's what doesn't mire and muddy the kill. It muddies it. Because there's this that went on. And it's like, ugh. And to most people, it doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there. They got a geared Moonkin. They could have recruited someone. There are a million other options they could have gone with to do this. But they did it that way. And it's like, you muddied it. Why? And it is a crime. But again, these guilds don't owe nothing to the onlooker, to the viewers. No, they're there to get the world first. If that's what they did to do it, and Blizzard's fine with it, that's how it went down. And I consider it a pretty clean kill. I do. But still, as the viewer, as the spectator, as the guys who sit back and go, who is the best here? To see that, it's like, yeah, but. And we never want that but to occur. We never want that but to occur. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. It didn't overall mean anything. Paragon did the same thing. But still, we've got all this conversation up and down instead of Gratz, you won. And that's it. That's what we want to see at the end. Gratz, you won. A lot of people like to compare it to a sprint. I think that's a reasonable analogy, is the sprint. You have this very short period of time where they're hammering and hammering and hammering and hammering and doing everything they can do to get that win. But what you don't want, and forgive me if my sprinting knowledge is out of date, but I assume Usain Bolt is still the fastest man on earth. I think. I don't know. But let's say it was Usain Bolt and the other guy who might be really good. I don't know. I'm sorry. And they're racing. But Usain Bolt fell over. The guy won. The other guy won. And maybe he would have beat him anyway. We don't know. But Usain Bolt fell over. So what really would have happened? I don't know. And you never want that but. We don't want it as spectators. These guilds don't care. They couldn't give a shit. But us as spectators and viewers, we don't want that but. And we like the race because it doesn't come around very often. It only lasts a couple of weeks. Out of a year-long expansion, it might happen, 3 times? Maybe 4? And you want it to be clean. You want it to be a joyous thing. You want to be like, okay, they're number 1. Because what you don't want is that smarmy ass friend. And you've all got him. We've all got him. You know it. We've all got him. Who goes, yeah, but they did account sharing. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. No, it does. Because they account shared, so they cheated. They cheated. It was unfair, blah, 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 blah. And then you have this discussion that shouldn't exist, and we don't want it to exist. Nothing like that. People will still find something to grab onto, but something so obvious, so tangible, it muddies it, it dirties it for the rest of us, and like I say, for those of us who care, which is, it's not everybody. It's not for everybody. No one gives a shit sometimes. But for those of us who do care and are kind of interested, you just want it to be clean. You want it to be happy. And I can understand why the rage and the outcry came. And although people were grasping onto the account sharing, I think the more frustration is that it wasn't just clean. It wasn't just a victory. Even though it was. But then again, it wasn't, depending on who you talk to. So that's my thoughts on it, okay? That's the way it is. I don't see it really as the account sharing was the problem. Blizzard obviously doesn't, and I personally can't see why anybody would grab account sharing and have a big whinge and cry about it, considering it's obviously so ridiculously widespread and common and normal and exactly part of a game that has something like subscriptions with multiple characters. That's perfectly normal and fine, in my opinion. Moving a character, giving that character to someone else, temporarily or otherwise, is fine. And I've done it. It's innocent. It's no issue. I can totally see why it happened, and no big deal. No cheating. Everybody had the option to do that. It's fine. But we didn't get a clean. We didn't get super clean. We didn't get it squeaky clean. We didn't get it crispy like we wanted. And I totally see why that's a bummer. All right, guys. Looking forward to speaking to you for the rest of the days. Enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye.